That boy. Yeah, that's it. So,
Cool.
yeah, Coach Kelly, Coach Dane here talking about uh, all things nutrition, I guess, right? Like having a discussion, um, talking about
Yeah.
macros. Nobody wants to talk about nutrition. My wife always says we don't discuss nutrition, politics, or religion at the dinner table because people get heated about nutrition, believe it or not. So, which I totally understand, but at the same time, we don't have to, hate one another over nutrition.
Yeah, I think
Kelly?
that's silly.
Yeah.
I
How we
think it's
doing
just
today?
it's I'm good. I'm good. I think nutrition is so controversial because of just like the media just blasting these fad diets all over the
Oh,
place,
I
and
know.
people go for that. They instantly say like, this is the new thing. This is what I'm going to try. And then they stick to it for about 5 seconds, and then they're on to the next one that comes about. And that's the problem. So
Yeah,
yeah, it definitely is controversial, but I didn't know it was like right in the realm of like politics and religion, but
yeah,
that's
yeah.
nice.
Maybe not. Maybe that's just in my family, but you know, whether we're talking gluten free, I mean, there's just so much, right? Like just
Yeah.
but before we get into all of that, if anybody out there is watching, please, let us know in the comments. Just comment, nutrition in there. Raise a hand. Let us know that you're here watching. If you're watching on the replay, like after the fact, I know not everybody can take off in the middle of the day and watch, 30 minutes of Kelly and Dane. But if you watch the replay, go ahead and just type replay into the comments and let us know. If you have questions today about anything nutrition related, type those in there as well. We'll do our best to get all questions answered. Even on the replay, go ahead and type replay and then ask your questions, because we will still see comments and we can still provide feedback, and we can even address those topics in future videos. So
Totally.
yeah, I think that's all the admin stuff that I have to talk about here. Anything going on calendar wise, Kelly, that we need to talk about? Anything coming up?
Well, next week, the reason we're doing this nutrition conversation right now is because next week we have a blog that we'll break it down in a second, but it's about macros, and just diet and nutrition, and why it's super important for cops, and just how, like, I mean, this blog breaks down even like all the way from the cellular level all the way up to like just on a day-to-day basis, how you feel, your energy levels, how you perform, mental clarity, like all these things that nutrition can impact. So we've got that. And then do you want to tell them what's coming after that, or is it a secret?
Yeah, we can maybe tease that here in a little bit. We let them know
Yeah.
what comes after the blog.
I mean, I don't
What
mind.
else? I mean, I guess last week we opened up our store. So our store is
Yes.
officially open for Effective Fitness. On our website, there's a link at the top of the bar. Just go in there, check out the store. Good apparel. When things are gone, they're gone. They may come back, they may not. Certain things are never going to come back. Other things are going to definitely repeat in terms of being refilled, but look to add new stuff in there every so often. If you got ideas on what you want to see in the store, please shoot us a message, send us an email, holler at Coach and Train Heroic, wherever you want to post anything. Let us know what kind of goods you guys would want to see, and we'll do our best to make it happen. Super excited about that. Already got a ton of merch going out, bunch of swag being shipped out every day.
Yeah, people got stuff already. I mean, it's a fast process. So we started this last week. I think a lot of people got their hoodies already. We just got patches. That's the most recent one. So we've got the what's it called? What do we call it? The shield patch.
Field patch.
People have been asking for those for a while. So
Yeah, that's cool.
they're
I
available
stole
now.
Kelly's, and so she's been waiting for one.
Yes.
Good. Well, let's go ahead and jump into nutrition. Like I said, if you guys got questions, please leave them in the comments. Even if you're watching the replay, comment replay, and drop the questions in there, and we'll get to them. But Kelly, you're the smart one in this group, so I'm going to go ahead and let you kick it off with what the hell are macros?
That was going to be the original title of this blog, which is funny, is just what the WTF are macros. And that's the reason I thought of this. I had this idea and I'm like, you know what? Like, I'm in this space 24/7, 365. And so are you, Dane. And we've been here for years. So we talk about this like it's second nature. And really, it's not for a lot of people. Like, people don't even know what macronutrients are. Like, I think about even just like my parents, they wouldn't know if I was like, yeah, you need to count your macros. They would say, what the
Sounds
hell are you
super
talking
scientific.
about? Right. They would say, what the hell does that mean? And like, what does that even do for me? Why do I care about that? So that's the questions that I answered in this blog. So it'll come out on Monday. Sunday's the email, so you'll get it there and it's available to read at that point. But basically I break down what are macronutrients in general, and then I break down each one. So we've got protein, carbohydrates, and fats. Alcohol is also in there. I do not go into alcohol in this specific blog. But yeah, like I said earlier, I basically break down, like, performance is so important for cops and just first responders in general, and anybody who wants to perform well. I mean, who wants to think clearly, who wants their brain to work and their body to operate optimally, So it's not just for first responders, but this one's specifically directed towards LE. And yeah, basically, I wrote down, what does this do for you mentally, physically, emotionally, hormonally, all the things.
Yeah. Real quick before we go on and get too much more deep into it, like,
Yeah.
Obviously you've come a long way in your own journey with macros. Like, what, I don't know, you identified the macros, right? Protein is one macronutrient.
Yep.
Carbohydrates are another one, and then fat. But like, what do you think, like, in your own experience, the role of those three have played kind of like in creating Kelly? Like, the following of them, the looking at them, like when you look at your own, like, I don't want to say weight loss or diet journey because that's not what it's been, but like your own fitness journey and performance journey.
Yeah.
What role did macros and understanding them play in that?
Yeah, and it really was, honestly, it kind of was a weight loss journey for me at first. And I started this probably 10 years ago. And like I just said, I didn't know what macronutrients were. I had no freaking clue. So I just started learning and reading, and like, I wanted to know. I was an athlete in high school. I was a coach. I wanted to know, how could I get my body to operate to the best of its ability every day, not just some days. Like, I wanted to know, like, what makes me feel good, what makes my body work and do its job. And then eventually that progressed to, I want heavier lifts. I want to be strong as hell. I want to be fast at the same time. I want my aerobic capacity to be fucking awesome. And so I just like tweaked all these things. So basically I started, like I said, 10 years ago. And ideally the goal was weight loss. And I realized how important just calories were in general. It doesn't have to be macronutrients. Like, calories is the first thing. If your goal is weight loss, if your goal is to gain muscle, whatever your goal, maintain whatever, you need to know how many calories you're consuming. So I started using MyFitnessPal, which you probably used at some point in your life, right? A lot of people have. It's a great tool, just to be more aware. But I mean, I got to the point where I didn't want to obsessively count macros, and that's, a lot of people have that issue, is you get so stuck on, well, I need exactly 130 grams of protein every day, or whatever the number is, and I got to that point where I was super obsessive. But we have to understand that, like, just being aware of what you eat, the ultimate goal is to not have to track, really. You should be intuitively eating, right? Eating when you're hungry, understanding what your portion size specifically looks like. So it's not all about being like, when I prescribe macros to somebody, like, I make sure they know you don't have to be exact every day, and chances are you're not going to be, and that's okay.
And why is that important? It's important, to not be exact because of the OCD, like you're just talking about, right? Like, it becomes,
you can get crazy about it,
counterproductive to really focus. Totally. Now you're starting to stress, which causes a whole nother like layer of issues. So it's exactly there for the guideline, right?
Exactly. And it should be, I always say, if you're within 5, 10, 15 grams of each one each day, that's fine. Even 20, 30, there's going to be days where you're super high. There's going to be days where you're super low. But the important thing is to, like, on average, have this many calories, on average, have this many grams of protein per day. And what matters is the bigger picture. So we need to follow this, not for just a month or a week. A week's going to do nothing for us. But if we do it a month, and then we do it for 3 months, and then all of a sudden we're doing this for a year, that's when you really start to see changes.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. And I think we got another question here from Caitlin that we'll get to in just a second. But I think that it's all about those small, subtle changes. We talk about it from fitness standpoint, nutrition, like big huge changes in your diet aren't necessarily the big key here. It's about being present and being aware of what you're putting into your mouth and in your body. And I can't stress how much and how important it is to just be present in life in general, but to know what you're eating and why you're eating it is almost just enough to make the change that you need to make. Now that we can kind of pay attention, okay, I need that 130 grams of protein. If I'm aware of that and that volume, all of a sudden everything else kind of falls into place because I am just being aware and present within my structure and how I approach eating, as opposed to just being stressed out, going home. I haven't eaten for the last 8 hours. I'm just going to eat whatever's available because it's there and I'm starving. Like, that's not being present in your food or taking responsibility or accountability for what you need to fuel.
Yeah, and it's the same thing with training too, right? Like if we have a purpose, we're probably going to follow because we know why we're doing what we're doing. That's really important.
Yeah. And I think in this world, it's important to say, like, the purpose of fitness within the scope of EFT is to be a more effective officer, right? To be a more effective LEO, which means some days we don't go 100%. Other days we do, depending on feel and context. And again, being present. Did I have a shitty day? Did I have a shitty 2 weeks? Am I tired and run down? Well, then I go at 50%.
My sleep. Yep.
Yeah. So
exactly.
We don't need to beat that dead horse. That's a whole nother topic. But Caitlin says, when she looks at the macro calendar or calculator, that we provide, the nutrition templates, right? It says that I need to be at around 2,500 calories for weight loss, which seems like a lot to her. But I always hear being at a caloric deficit is necessary for weight loss. Which is superior? So basically the idea of, it seems like a lot. You can touch on that aspect, but then also, eating enough, right, is so important. Is it more important than, say, being at a calorie deficit, or how do I manage that aspect?
Oh man, this is a loaded question. So first of all, you have to trust that the calculators that we give you, the templates, are doing their job. These calculations are backed by like a ton of research, like the latest nutrition research available, right? So you have to understand that like a lot of things are taking into consideration here. So we need so if it says 2,500 calories, well, first of all, it is necessary to be in a caloric deficit in order to lose weight. Like that's just a fact. And if your goal is to gain weight, it's the opposite. You have to be in a surplus. Like if you're looking to add tissue to your frame, where does that tissue come from? You have to have excess calories there, right? And then the same thing, if you're looking to get rid of it, you need to burn more calories than what you're taking in, right? So first of all, so like I said, trust that the calculations are correct. If it's 2,500, start there. And then the goal is going to be you want to slowly lose weight. You just want to see a steady downward trend. So over time. So this is weeks and months on end, right? So 0.5 to 1 pound per week is typically pretty good. That's sustainable weight loss. It's not drastic, which typically you see, like if you see a drastic weight loss, there's a really good chance you're going to gain that weight back. And then you're probably going to gain even more weight than what you lost to begin with. So remember, slow is good. And then be willing, you got to be flexible with it too. So you're probably going to have to make adjustments. If 2,500, it might be the number. We might get lucky and you're good. We got that number right first try, right? So you can slowly lose weight over time. If you see like no progress over 3 weeks, that's when you'll probably have to start dropping by, I usually say 250 to 500 calories at a time. So say 3 weeks into you're following the plan to a T, no weight loss or maybe even weight gain. Drop it 250 to 500 and then see again for 3 to 4 weeks until you see that little tiny bit of weight loss each week.
Yeah. And I think that's so important there that typically when people like think about the calorie deficit, they think they have to cut out like 1,000 calories, right? Like you even see other programs will talk about, oh, you need to be at a 1,200 calorie diet. I'm sorry, if you're a grown adult and you're eating less than say 1,500 calories at a time in a day, you don't have enough energy to be a cop, period.
Yep.
Like and if you do, if there's somebody else out there that wants to prove me wrong, like there's definitely something else going on in your life that allows you to operate at that, instance. These, like she
Absolutely.
said, are backed by science, backed by research in terms of the calculations to find your caloric needs. And then if you think about 500 calorie deficit, so if you were to burn that 250 to 500 calories, you're basically talking about, like she said, 1 pound a week. So if
Yep.
you're kind of in that 500 calorie deficit range, you do that every single day for 3 weeks, you're looking at about 3 pounds of weight loss if everything is kind of calculated right. So you have to go for that 3 week minimum before you
Yep.
make a tweak. And then just realize that a 250 calorie tweak adds up to about a half a pound a week of weight loss. So, or weight gain, depending on how you're going. So it is that subtle, and it does take time. And that's why we got to look at this as like a lifestyle, and as like a, I'm going to keep playing with it. Oh, I want to run a marathon now. I'm training for that. Okay, well, my caloric needs are going to increase because of the amount of demand I have. And, so it's always reverts back to the macros. And so to Caitlin's question, do you need around 2,500? If you were accurate and you really were not lying to the calculator in terms of how active you are and your current metrics, yes,
Yep.
2,500 is accurate. And then that means you will be in a calorie deficit according to your basal metabolic rate and your activity level. And then if you don't see any changes over 3 weeks time, you can bump that down to, let's say, 2,250. Again, anybody listening to this, a grown adult, don't ever let yourself get down to 1,500 calories. Like if you can't do it, if it's saying right now that you should be at 2,500 and you get down to 1,500 because you want to lose weight, like that's where you can reach out to us and we can have
Something else is going on. Yep. Yeah. And you got to take so many things into consideration. And this is why nutrition coaches are like so necessary, is because everything in your life makes a difference. Like your stress level really, really impacts if you're losing weight or not. And your sleep is huge. I cannot stress that one enough.
Yeah.
If somebody, maybe you are supposed to be in a caloric deficit at 2,500 calories, but you're sleeping 4 hours a night and busting your ass and training, and like you're just in this energy deficit, like it's not good for you. And there's a whole other mess of issues going on there.
Right.
So you gotta, like, that's where a nutrition coach comes in, and like you can use those templates, but if you guys need help, you can always reach out, and ask questions. And that's probably what you're going to hear is, are you sleeping? How many hours a night are you sleeping? Are you super stressed? What kind, like your caffeine intake, like all these things matter, and they play a huge role.
Yeah. And I also, to that point, like, the blog that's coming out, the reason why we're having this discussion is there's a blog coming out next week that's covering what are macros and why they are important. But another way to look at this is you've got the calculator that we provide, the nutrition templates on our website. It's going to tell you your caloric needs and even break down your macros for you. But just like working out, like you should log your information, right? If you can find a way to kind of, at least in the early stages, write down what you're actually eating, because most of the time what I find is when I work with people directly, they say they eat pretty good, right? I eat pretty good.
Right?
And
Right.
then, I don't know what that means to you. I don't know where you grew up. The eating pretty good in South Carolina means a lot different than it does, I don't know, in Denver, Colorado, right? So
Yeah.
I just would say that write down so you can see yourself. You don't have to show anybody else, but just be honest with yourself. Again, be present, write down what you ate for a week, and then evaluate yourself. Like, damn, I didn't realize I was going to Starbucks every single day. Well, I mean, 750 calories right there with, 48 grams of sugar for every, like it becomes very aware. And now it's like, okay, I can make that one change and it might be enough for weight loss. So just being present, looking at the macros, don't be so OCD about it. You don't have to get it right on the money. Just know what you should be hitting, what is a target, and you kind of, work to be within 10% of that target.
Yep. Just awareness can make a huge difference. And the other thing that can make a huge difference is just your quality of your food that you're eating. Some people will eat this trash, which used to be me. Like I used to eat Pop-Tarts and freaking ramen noodles and all kinds of crap, which has zero nutrition, none,
Right.
you know? And as soon as I switch that to like right now, like my main focus every single meal, meat and vegetables, meat and vegetables, meat and vegetables every time. And
Right.
because I know there's everything I need is in that meal. There's protein in the meat, there's fat in the meat, and the vegetables fill me up like crazy and they are so nutrient dense. You
Right.
couldn't ask for a better combination right there.
Yeah. Meat and vegetables. Meat and
Seriously,
vegetables.
for
Yeah.
real.
And I guess this is like a good way because we just talked about meat so much. Like, obviously I said food is like, nutrition or whatever is like politics and religion. You get into stuff like gluten-free or being vegan or vegetarianism, like it's all fine.
Keto.
It all goes back to the same principles though. You got to be present. You have to understand what you're eating. You should understand what the amount of calories are going in. And then more important than ever, if we're not eating like a sustained, like a large amount of meat, then we have to recognize that we got to make sure we're getting protein somewhere. And
Yep.
where is that coming from? And am I close again within that 10% of my macros? Because that's what we see a lot when we talk about vegan or diets or vegetarianism, is like, where are we getting the protein? It's perfectly acceptable. And I totally, it's okay. Like I got no problems with eating that way and that lifestyle, but I
Agreed.
want my athletes to make sure they're getting enough of the right macronutrients in that situation.
Yep. I totally agree with you.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't think we need to beat that too much more. There's a blog coming out on, basically Monday. It'll be available on Sunday on the website, but everybody will be notified. It'll be on our Instagram, everywhere else, in our Facebook group on Monday. And then on Thursday, what do you got for them, Kelly?
Oh boy, this is a good one. We created a how-to guide it's a 6-step process for you to calculate your macros on your own. And it's very, very similar to our templates, but you're doing all the calculations yourself. So it's a
Right.
6-step process. It breaks it down exactly, every little number about you specifically. And in the end, you will get your macros based on your goals, your lifestyle, your activity level, all that. And you can use that if you want to do it yourself. That's what it's for.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, just for everybody listening, go ahead. If you got any comments, drop them in there. Let us answer them now. Any questions, let us know if you watch us on the replay with typing replay in there. But the whole idea behind the how-to guide of calculating macros for LEs is we want to teach a man to fish, right? Like we want to give you the tools to understand and do it yourself. And we think that's a great way to help educate and help move you along your fitness and nutrition journey. But there's also nutrition templates on our website. So if you don't feel like going through those calculations, or maybe you even look through it and you're like, okay, I understand now, but I don't feel like sitting down and doing it, you can purchase those nutrition templates from the website and have those calculations done for you. But we definitely wanted to give you the resource to do it yourself so that, you can learn and develop along the way.
Yeah.
I
It's
think
good to know
that's
where we get those numbers,
yeah, it's important. Kelly, you got anything else, like parting words?
No, I'm really excited to give this to you guys. This is probably one of the I was pumped to write this one. Nutrition is definitely, it's like a puzzle to me. So I'm really into it, and everybody's so unique. So I'm really excited. If anyone has questions, they can reach out anytime and we can help them out. So yeah, that's all I got.
Sure. Yeah, I think maybe next week or whenever we do this again, maybe we can look at talking about alcohol or just recovery in general, and kind of lump alcohol into there. Or we can just take a straight 30 minutes and talk about, alcohol and its effect on performance and weight gain and sleep and everything else. So I think that would be a good topic and would probably resonate with some people. But don't hesitate to reach out to Coach Kelly, coach@effective.fitness. You can reach out to me at Dane@effective.fitness. And then, of course, if you've got questions or comments, please leave them and we'll answer them as soon as we see them. But appreciate you all. Time to go train.
Let's go, Dane.
Let's do it.
See you
I'm
guys.
out. See y'all.
Bye.